Previously on the Rubin Report.
We've never been at war with our federal government.
Like, this seems far more insurrection-y.
Quit now.
He bum-rushed the stage.
Get out of the way of the vehicle.
And the never-ending morphing of a moron by Dave Rubin.
Have some steak with this.
It's just great. Of course, the big story this week is this horrific incident out of Minneapolis, which falls to the backdrop of the ICE raids, and I would say is deeply connected to all of the money laundering coming out of Somalia and the daycare center, and just the overall temperature in that state and city, Minneapolis specifically. So I wanted to start just quickly with the slow-mo version. Everyone has seen it already, but the slow-mo version of the ICE agent shooting this woman who was not responding to their commands. Take a look. So guys, the key part here, obviously, is that you can see he does not take the gun out until she puts the car in forward.
Okay, did you just see that? The moment that everyone's been fighting about. The ICE agents didn't draw his weapon until after she puts the car in drive and starts moving towards him. But here's the insane part. We have multiple camera angles. We have slow motion. We have phonographic evidence of the bullet's trajectory, and half the country still can't agree on what just happened. What you are about to watch is three people from completely different political backgrounds analyzing this exact footage. Michael Knowles from the conservative right, Batya Ungar-Sargon, who still considers herself on the left, and Dave Rubin, a former progressive. And one of them is going to say something so powerful about who's really responsible for this woman's death that it's going to completely reframe how you see this entire incident. Let's continue.
And we played it repeatedly on my show because I think it's worth noting. But in some sense, Michael, let me start with you on this. In some sense, even if the three of us could all come to the same conclusion on that, or if 90% could all come to the same conclusion, in a weird way, is that irrelevant because everything is now partisan, and the overall temperature of what these guys have to deal with out there is so crazy that whether it was the second before or the second after, the idea that you're going to watch that video and get a conclusion that everyone can come to is pretty much impossible at this point.
Yeah, and I think even if we get higher quality video, I mean, we have the slow-mo video, we have the video from the front angle, which shows that she actually hit the federal agent, which you're not allowed to do. We have a photo of the bullet going through the windshield. The only way the bullet goes through the windshield is if he's in front of the car. You're not going to get it from the back of the car or the side of the car. So even if we agree on the facts that she was driving at him, he was in front of the car, I think that we can still feel bad for her. You know, I think the officer, the federal agent, was entirely justified and, in fact, had a responsibility to stop a person who's about to run someone over, himself included. I think that this woman's death is entirely her own fault, and I feel sorry for her. And I guess the political conclusion that leads me to feel sorry for her is she really thought that it's okay to just park your car in the middle of the street, stop traffic, and stop law enforcement. She really thought that it's okay to drive into a federal agent. She really thought there would be no consequences. And I bet after she hit him, when he pulled out his gun and shot her through the windshield, I bet she was very, very surprised. And part of the reason for that is that Democrat politicians, especially in Minnesota, especially in Minneapolis, have for years now told citizens that they're allowed to obstruct law enforcement. They're allowed to riot. They're allowed to hurt people. They're allowed to block traffic. So, you know, in a way, I'm sorry for her that she was scandalized by the political order that said that this thing was okay and you're not going to have consequences. And unfortunately, the only way you're going to restore a normal political order is there have to be consequences for these things. And federal agents are under no obligation to let people run them over. We used to know that, and we have to know it again.
You know, it's so interesting. I'm really glad you set it up that way, because the point is, the federal agent did not wake up that morning going, man, I hope I get to shoot somebody today. And I totally agree with you. I don't think she woke up that morning thinking I'm going to drive my car into a federal agent. But that then gets to the overall temperature situation. Batya, as someone maybe a little more on the left, are we being too sympathetic to law enforcement here?
I find this to be tragic as well. That a woman would leave her own child to go protest on behalf of Somali children who don't exist. Okay? Because that's what happened here. She went to protest to protect these illegals who were being rounded up by ICE, who were focusing on a community that had committed massive fraud, including lying about the existence of hundreds of children to bilk the American people out of billions of dollars. And in the name of this noble action, this woman has been bamboozled into literally abandoning her own child and getting herself killed. It's horrific and unforgivable. Where is the blame here? I mean, it's in an entire narrative that has captured the minds of affluent white progressives into destroying their actual children's lives. It is utterly, utterly outrageous. Of course, this was an entirely justified killing. You could see the car driving right at the guy, accelerating and hitting him. And it's amazing to me that the people who constructed the fantasy on which this woman died are out there watching the same video as us and just cannot see it. They are literally blinded to the fact. And then, of course, there are some who are lying about it. So my mentions are full of people posting a still image of the car in reverse with the red reverse light on. The second officer, not the one who shot, but the other one at the side with his gun pulled and saying, look, he shot her in the side while she was reversing. And some truly believe this. I think many don't. But this is exactly how this happened, is the construction of myth upon myth upon myth upon myth with the sole purpose of demonizing half of the country and...
Stop. This right here is one of the most powerful statements in the entire conversation. Batya just said this woman abandoned her own children to protest on the behalf of Somali children who don't exist. She's talking about the massive fraud scheme where Somali communities members lied about hundreds of non-existent children to bilk the taxpayer out of billions. This woman left her real children at home to protest fake children who were part of a fraud operation. And notice, this is coming from someone on the left. She is calling it what it is: horrific and unforgivable. She's saying an affluent white progressive has been bamboozled into destroying their own children's lives. This happens when the narrative trumps reality, when the media and the politicians construct myth upon myth upon myth. Batya's words, people stop being able to see what's right in front of them. They're literally watching the same video that we're seeing and seeing something completely different. The question is, how do we come back from this?
Leading to tragedies like this.
Well, that's, the great Scott Adams, who unfortunately is not going to be with us much longer. One of the things that he's popularized is the idea that we're all watching the same movie and having two very different reactions to it. However, I think we're all agreed that the temperature has been ramped up by the media and the Democrats. So when I saw this happen, it was the same thing. I had, in a weird way, I had almost the same reaction as when Charlie was killed, which was, it's shocking.
So here's what I want you to take away from this. We just watched three people from three different political backgrounds, a conservative, left-leaning, a former left, all come to the same conclusion about what happened in this video. The shooting was justified, the woman's death was tragic, and the blame lies with the politicians and the media who created the reality where she thought she could drive at a federal agent and would have no consequences. If three people with different worldviews can actually agree on the facts when they actually look at the evidence, then maybe there's hope for the rest of us. But that only happens if we're willing to put truth above narrative, reality above ideology. If this breakdown added value to your understanding of what really is happening in America right now, smash that like button and subscribe and drop your comments telling me, do you think we'll ever get back to a shared reality, or are we too far gone?